Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is part 2 of the long haul with big birds and aliens. And I'm taking some of those prints and I'm going to add more layers as I do, using a various array of stencils from PM Artist Studio and a bunch of different colors. But I'll put all the colors down below in the description of the video, on the screen rather, and you know, that way you can follow along if you'd like. This is a thick layer, I know, but I need to be able to get it up through the stencil, and there's a lot of little nooks and crannies in this particular stencil, so that's why it's a little thicker, but it could be a little thinner, but you know, it is what it is. I'm heavy-handed, what can I say? And this one is Imagined Wallflowers, designed by Darcy Sanders over at Darcy's Misadventures with the Mixed Media on YouTube. So this one requires a second lifting, so I'm gonna grab a clean piece of tissue, Carnival wet strength tissue, and pick up the rest of the paint through the stencil. And it's just, you know, rubbing it gently, going in circles, trying to get up as much as you can. But we got another print to play with. There's never enough. Okay, let's go ahead and pull off the stencil and see what we've got below. Ooh, love it. I love it when it's like streaky and mottled like that. I think it makes for a more interesting looking print. And I'm gonna take that first sheet that I showed you at the beginning of the video that I wasn't too happy with and put that on there. Let's see what we get. It's all about playing around, adding layers, experimenting, doing all sorts of stuff. And if you haven't watched any of my other gel printing videos, this is one way that I clean my stencils, is I put it on the pickup tissue. It works best with tissue. I've tried it with copy paper or regular paper. It always rips, so I use the tissue top and bottom and then just brayer it out gently and get all that paint, as much paint off as I can on the stencil. And you see the tissue on top is a clean off sheet, but it's like I'm building layers. You'll see one later on in the video where it's really like getting nice and I say grungy. So with a little patience and effort, you will get another print. So I've got another print to play with, which is great. You never have enough. think, what's the next step we're gonna do? Clean up a little bit. Actually, we're gonna pull this one off because I just, we had just laid this one down, and this is the results of this one. No, it's not the greatest, but like I said, we're adding layers today, and we're playing with different colors and stuff. For this one, I'm going to use the ultramarine blue from Lucas Krill Studio. It's a transparent blue, a really nice shade of blue, and I'm going to add a little bit of the Prussian blue just to darken it up just a little bit. So for this one, I'm going to take this Whirlies stencil from PM Artist Studio and pick it up on the silvery kind of print. You'll see in a sec once I get the paint up through the stencil. But this is a fun stencil. It's listed under mark making at pmartiststudio.com, and it's called Whirlies. I really like how this turned out. It's just a great contrast, that the darker blue with the silvery background. It looks really grungy, cool, and I definitely probably add more to that. Let's see what we're going to do with what's left over on the plate. I'm going to pick it up with that new wipe off or cleanup tissue that I started today, and see what we can get off that. For the next pickup print, I'm using the Nickel Azo Gold from Golden Acrylics. It's a fluid paint, so it dries quickly, but it is a transparent paint, so it makes a great color for layering, or for glazing and layering. Now this one tissue was a cleanup from earlier in the video, and there was even some of the blue circles on there. And it's going to pick up the rest of what's on that plate with the circles, and just add a whole new dimension to the paper. And you'll see how awesomely grungy it is, and it picked up most everything that was left on the plate, and I got a great print. I really like this one. A great way to add a glaze and some shine to a print is using the Folk Art Color Shift paints. This particular one is the Blue Flash, and what it does is each color in the range shifts to a different color. Like this one shifts to purple. So I'm doing a glaze over the print with the silver background and the Whirlies print on top of that in the blue. And it turns out pretty cool, and it's one of those things that when you look at it, it just you wiggle it, it gives you a really cool effect and shine. All right, let's see what this looks like. It's subtle, but when you give it that wiggle, you can see how awesome that looks. So now for some quinacridone Nickel Azo Gold, and I'm going to lay this out on the plate and pull it with a red print from the previous video, and it's just going to give it just a really great next layer, I guess you could say. Here's the reveal. You see? Oh my God, this turned out so good. And you can see how that Nicolazo gold filled in the bare spots and just made it glow a little more, I guess. I don't know if that's the right word, but I really love what it did to that print. For this next print, I'm using the Phthalo Green. This is a transparent paint from Liquitex, which I really like. It's a nice green color, and I'm adding some of the interference green orange from Golden Fluid Acrylics, and that's a transparent paint too. It's sort of like a color shift, but it's the golden version of the color shift. And this flashes green, sort of orangey, and it's not like a stark shift. It's subtle, but it's really, really cool. For this next print, I chose the Aqueous Effervescence Broken Stencil, again from PM Artist Studio. And I'm picking it up with a print that's kind of like, you know, just a little bit of this, a little bit of that I've been adding throughout the video. But what I'm really going for is the layer underneath the stencil, and I'm going to build on that. And you'll see in a minute here me adding more colors through the stencil to build up the layers. And you can do that definitely. You know, put the paint over the stencil, even if you have the layer of paint underneath. You're just building layers. Just, you know, make sure you have enough paint on there to get into all the nooks and crannies if you're using a stencil like this. That has a lot of smaller openings. And here I'm using lime green and a green yellow iridescent paint. So this is what's called a flop off. You take your stencil that's wet with paint and you flop it off onto a piece of paper or a gel print or a gel plate. I like to do it onto the gel plate. And then I take a piece of tissue and then just burnish all that paint that's left on the stencil back onto another plate. And then for this next one, I will let that dry completely, and then come back and I will add a final layer to pull that up. So to pick up the paint on this plate, I chose this print that's mainly a blue. I think it was Prussian blue. I don't like how it turned out, to be honest, but it has possibility. So I'm sure I'll work on it in the future and make it even better. I just, wasn't too excited. I think it's just the coloring combination was just not right. And here's another way I clean off a stencil is I just put the tissue over the plate that that I'm picking up with, and then I put the stencil on top of that and clean it off. So to layer onto this next print, that pinky red one you just saw, I'm using the Golden Fluid Acrylic Green Gold. It's a transparent paint. So another great layering paint. And I made a mistake here, and what I'm doing is I'm brayering it way too much. And for this kind of paint, for the fluid paint, it dries quickly. And so the more you brayer it, the more it's just gonna end up on your brayer and not on the plate. So that was my mistake. So do as I say, not as I do. But I like where this print is going. It's got possibilities. So dull down the pink a little bit, and then in the open white lines, it gave us that green golden color. So for this next print, it's one of my favorite prints, but I wanted to add another layer. I think it needs another layer on top. And I'm going to do a glaze again on this, the glaze technique, and I'm going to use the Nickel Azo, or the Quinacridone Nickel Azo Gold in the Golden Fluid Acrylic. Again, it's a transparent paint. I only did a thin layer of the paint because I didn't want to kill the color, the yellow too much. But I think that this thin layer gives the print a lot more interest and depth, and just makes it a little, richer. back to this print here. This is still on the stencil. I've let it dry overnight, and I'm going to use some mint green paint to pick it up. And just going to brayer it out, and then use some copy paper, the Hammermill color photo paper, color copy paper. I always say that wrong. And that definitely is going to have to dry as well on the plate. And a good way to test it to see if it's ready is you rub your hand over it. If it's still cool to the touch, you don't want to pull it yet, because it's going to stick and you're going to have a mess. So don't pull it up too quick. Let it dry. And that is the Wood Baron I'm using. That is from Anthony Cody. I'll list his information for his Etsy shop in the description box of the video. He makes great handmade wooden barons, and he does other stuff too. So you'll have to definitely check him out. Now let's use some dioxazine purple, and in this case it's from Liquitex, and this one is an opaque paint. And in other brands, the dioxazine purple tends to be transparent, but not this one. But it's still a beautiful, rich purple color that leans more towards the blue spectrum than the red. And I'm using stencil from Rhonda Dona, and this is called Dottie Miss Dottie. It's a wonderful stencil, also available at PM Artist Studio. And I'm using one of my multi-layered pickup sheets here to pick up the dots through the stencil, because what I'm trying to do is get the outline of the stencil below. So I'm going to pull the paint through, and then I'll get the open circle design that I'll use on another print. Reveal. I really like how this turned out. I really do. This was the print we just did recently with the green gold layer. But look at how cool that looks. Very, very nice. So here I am doing the same technique, same paint, and but I'm going to choose, I believe it said a different print to pull the paint off the plate. This is a darker print from the last video, but it turns out really well. I don't know what just happened. There we go. It's just so cool, the effect that it gives, the dots, to a print that I really enjoy using the stencil. And this is one of my cleanup sheets that has like layers and layers and layers and layers of all sorts of paint. Okay, so there we have the print left over on the plate, the paint there, and I'm going to use this print here. There's got a sort of a yellowish background I think this is one of the ones we did at the beginning of the video, if I'm correct, and I'm going to pick up that purple with that print, and I really liked it. I think this one turned out pretty cool. I'm just going to clean off my stencil. Look at that. That is just a spectacular print. I may not do anything else to that. I like it just the way it is. Let's take out some deep gold and get a layer of paint down on the plate. And then I'm going to use the dots again, Miss Dottie, and put it on a couple of prints. It looks like a lot of paint. It might be a little too much, but I want to make sure I get a nice print of the dots through the stencil. So I wanted to make sure there's enough there. So this is one of the prints we've been working on throughout the video, just picking stuff up here and there, and look how awesome this turned out. Look at that. That's just so cool. See, even if it's a pickup sheet, you can still create some beautiful stuff. So I'm going to add gold paint to this print that had the pink and then the green gold and then the purple circles or the dots. Well, it's the circles because it's the opposite of the dots. And this one turned out really nice too. Isn't that cool? It's got a great effect, and I didn't line it up perfectly, which I didn't intend to, but it gives it that nice, not 3D, kind of 3D effect. Now to pick up the gold that's left on the plate, Ooh, so cool. I'm gonna use this red print and pick that up, and it's, oh my god, wait till you see this. It's so cool. See what I mean? Wait till I give it that little wiggle in the camera. Wow. I love that one. All right, let's put some bronze down on the plate. Continue with the metallics, and I'm going to use another stencil. Let's try the O's Style 1. This is a stencil from designer Paula Keen, and it's available through PM Artist Studio. And it's a fun, very graphic stencil. And I love the shade of bronze. It's from Amsterdam Standard Series. But it's just a nice shade of the bronze. And you can see I've used this stencil many times. And I'm going to take that print that we did the glaze on with the blue flash and give it that extra punch of the large shapes on top of those little whirlies. I just think it gives it a nice balance on the final print. picked up the rest of the paint that's on the plate with this red print, this darker red print from the last video, and I think it's awesome. Very shiny, very cool. This just has some nice texture to it. I can also come back and spray it too from behind and fill in some of those white lines, but we'll see. These are all works in progress for sure. All right, let's switch it up again, and we're gonna grab some Naples Yellow and the stencil Carnation Trust from Darcy's Mixed Media, or Misadventures with Mixed Media. And this particular stencil, the border, I trimmed the border off all around. But it does come with a border when you order it. And that's something you can do on your, you can do on your own. Once you buy it, it's yours. To the Naples, I'm gonna add some Fern Green and mix that up, and you notice there's still bronze and gold paint on the plate, so that'll add another layer of color to the print. And what I'm going to do though is once I lay the stencil down on top of the paint, I'm going to put the print on top of that and pick up the marks from there, and it's really, really cool. Now it just brightened up that print. Just that simple pull of color just gave it a really cool lift. Now this particular, what's on the plate, I think I'm just picking it up with a pickup sheet, a clean off sheet, and because I just wasn't impressed with what was left behind to put on one of my other prints, so we'll just do it on a pickup sheet. At the end of the video, and I'm going to pull the print with the Aqueous Effervescent broken stencil that we did with lime green and a green gold or green yellow iridescent paint, and then I picked it up with the mint green, and look at that. That is a spectacular print. I really, really love this one. It's got great coloring, all kinds of, different shades of the blues and the greens, and it's just so cool. And then the shine from the iridescent paint, awesome. Thanks for joining me again, guys. I hope you enjoyed this part 2 video, and don't forget to hit that like button, leave a comment, and subscribe. It's the best way you can help me. And here are the prints all finished.